The rose hips are ripe, which is an indication to me that it's time to make fire cider. So I've just gone out and harvested some rose hips and gathered everything I need to make fire cider. I'm actually going to make it with a friend here soon, and I wanted to show you what I put in my fire cider. So fire cider is really variable by the herbalist. There are a lot of different recipes. In fact, there are entire books written about the different ways to make fire cider. This is basically what I put in mine. So I have rosemary, ginger, lemon balm, Douglas fir tips, usnea, cayenne. I am putting some of my small, like this is a little bit of the small garlic and onions that I have left over from my harvest. It's not enough, so I am putting, this is the broken seed garlic. I kept that for specifically for the fire cider. I've got oranges, horseradish, which I need to start growing, but I keep forgetting. Turmeric. There's a lemon in there, there's 2 lemons and there's an onion in there. This is hawthorn berry and then the rose hips. And the hawthorn berry and the rose hips, this is the time of year that you harvest them. And they are sort of the natural signal to me that it's time to make fire cider. And then of course you need a 1/2 gallon jar and some organic apple cider vinegar. I realized I was missing an ingredient. I went and found it in my pantry. This is Oregon grapefruit. You also need a knife and a cutting board. Oh, and a grater, which I will go find. So it is actually more than a week later, and my friend Sarah and I did make our fire cider, and it was delightful, and I didn't turn the camera on at all for any of it, even in the cleanup or anything. And that's okay. The magic of making fire cider is it's something that should be experienced in person. I dearly love it, and I'm so grateful that she came and made it with me. Then I got sick, and so I'm on the tail end of that. I'm feeling better, but I'm still using my fire cider, and so I thought, oh well, I'm still using some fire cider. I'll show people like really what I use it for. So this is what I have left over from last year's fire cider, which you can see definitely time to make more. And I'll show you how I use it. So I have a glass with about 1.5 teaspoons of honey in the bottom of it, and the spoon that I got the honey out with. My fire cider, a tablespoon, and some just under boiling water. I'm gonna add, it's kind of awkward. It's okay. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of the fire cider to the honey. And then I'm gonna top all of that off with hot water. Stir the honey until it melts, so it's incorporated. A lot of people use honey in their fire cider while they're making it, and I prefer not to. I prefer to add the honey when I ingest it. My fire cider is naturally a little bit sweet, and it doesn't need a lot of honey. And it's a personal preference anyway. So I think people should be able to add the honey at the end. Some people are going to want it a lot sweeter to cover the vinegar taste. I don't. This is actually going to be probably a little sweet for me, but and then you can see it's not a lot of liquid that I'm going to drink, but maybe 6 ounces. So it's so delicious. It's such a comforting way to take care of yourself and to give yourself medicine or plant medicine. And It's so delicious. I just really enjoy it. It's not a chore for me to use it or to take it because it's comforting and warm and just tastes good. So there's how I make and use fire cider. Here is the half gallon of fire cider that is brewing. It'll be ready in about 4 or 5 weeks. I will pour off the vinegar and it will go into a smaller, it's about a quart of vinegar in this half gallon jar. So I'll end up with about a quart of fire cider. And then there's so much plant material in here. I actually will add another quart of fire cider and let it infuse for another quart of vinegar. I'll add another quart of vinegar and I'll let it infuse for several months until I remember to decant it. And so I'll end up at the end of the season with 2 quarts of, that just spilled on me. Oh, it already tastes good. Well, I'll end up with 2 quarts of fire cider at the end. All right, I hope that was interesting, useful, helpful, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. I will leave a link to my fire cider recipe, to a Google Doc with my fire cider recipe, as well as a link to a book that's all about different fire cider recipes in the description.